Hey, welcome back, Rankers. I'm coming to you this week from Islay. It's a little island in the New Hebrides on the west coast of Scotland, and there's a lot of single malts here. That's not the only reason I'm here. Well, actually, it's one of the main reasons I'm here, let's be honest. But we've just finished our jaunt with the SEMrush Summer Jam, and we had a great time there. And I met a lot of SEOs that are still doing backlinking, and look, a lot of these guys are doing it for their own sites. I don't have a problem with that, and it's working for them. And I always find it interesting, some of the black hat techniques that I was talking to a few of the people there and what they're doing, but they're doing it on their own brands, their own sites, so they're not jeopardizing someone else's business. And I don't have a problem with that. It's only when I come across people doing backlinks, so I come across sites, new clients and those sorts of things, where you have to repair a lot of the damage that some of these techniques can do. Which brings me to my next topic of the book. So I've been writing a book, as many of you know, and it's called Get Stuffed Google. Now, it's coming out later this year. If you want to be on the advance list for a copy of that book, and we will be giving a whole bunch of them away for free as well, then just email getstuffedgoogle@stuartmedia.biz, and I'll make sure you're one of the first people to get an advanced copy of that. And what we're looking at in the book is ways that brands are building themselves and how a strong brand will negate a lot of the problems that you see normally with a site that Google will actually just ignore. Things like speed, right? Speed's big, and we know speed's great for, the faster your site, the higher the conversion rates are going to be, the lower the bounce rates are going to be, and also the higher the rankings are going to be. But what we've learned over the last few years is that a strong brand, Google doesn't tend to worry about those things as much, in that a stronger brand is going to trump some of those things. Because let's face it, if you are the number one brand for a particular generic keyword, and I'll give you an example, shoes. So we ranked a site last year in Australia, number one nationally, for just the single word shoes. Now, their site had a 32-second homepage load time. It only had 10% of its actual site index. So, only 10% of their products were actually getting indexed because of problems associated with the way that their sites were handling the Google bot. Google didn't care. And the upside of it is that if you have a strong brand, yes, Google will ignore a lot of these things, but if you have a strong brand and you get these technical SEO things right, boom, and that's really, really important. So the biggest thing that I've learned, I guess, over the last 12 months when it comes to brand, here comes a truck of single malt. Hi. Off to the distillery. If you have a strong brand and you are working to build that brand, then and you get these other technical SEO things right, you've got the game over. You don't have to worry about anything else. And at that point, you can tell Google to get stuffed, hence the name of the book, Get Stuffed Google, because Google's going to have to chase you. If you don't appear in the search results for those phrases that your brand is strongest with, that's Google's problem, it's not yours. So that's what this book is all about. We're going to go through a number of case studies, sharing a lot of data in this book and proof that simple exercises that you would normally do to build your business, like PR, like outreach. So I know a lot of people will build links these days through, blogger outreach, influencer marketing, all these sorts of things. What I would say to you, if you are doing that, have a think about the traffic that you are getting from those links, because that's what's the important thing, right? You want the traffic. You don't necessarily want the backlink. And our studies have shown over the last 12 months that you can do a lot of PR and get minimal backlinks, but your rankings go like that. And our ranking is continuing to grow ourselves because of the PR and the things that we're involved with for our own brand in the media. But once again, it doesn't have to be mass media. It doesn't have to be television. It can be. It doesn't have to be radio. It can be. But it could just be exposing your brand in a way to your buyer personas. And we've seen bloggers do that with great success, where they'll just have a small niche, but they are the number one in their niche. They are the number one brand in their niche for their buyer personas. And that's what you have to do. And that's what the book's about, and teaching you how to do those things. So if you do want an advanced copy of that book coming out later this year, get Stuffed Google at stuartmedia.biz, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much, everybody, for the comments from last week and the SEMrush Summer Jam. And I don't know where we're coming from next week. Might even be Australia. I don't know. But I'll see you next week. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.